Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadane Nirvishesha Shrindvari Pashyate Adashchadane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. So one gene is here. What happened to the other gene? Oh, he's coming. He's parking. Oh, okay. All right. So thank you everyone for being here. So yeah, today we'll start ISKCON disciple course, and it's a course that has been created by the educational department of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and it is they've made it a mandatory course for those who will accept first initiation. So whoever accepts first initiation, first they take this course, they pass the exam, and then they have a certificate, and then they could. That's one of the required things for initiation. So because it was required, I thought that I would teach it for the serve the devotees in that way. So this is the third one here in San Diego. Within the last year, we had 1, 2, and this is 3. So this should be better than the last 2 because as things as you become more familiar with or if I become more familiar with it, it should become better. So all right. So first, Dimitri, if you could just pass out these books. All right. So this is everybody's books, and if everybody could just write their name on them. And if you don't have a pen, we could provide a pen for you. Does everybody have a pen? You don't, no pens. Okay. Dimitri, do you think you could go to the ashram and get 2 pens that work? Got a lot of pens. We got to get one that works. Okay. Does Tyler have a book?
Well, Dimitri did serve himself.
Oh.
Is there one for you? Okay.
Here's a book for Tyler. And then we also need a book for Jean, the other Jean. We have 2 Jeans in the class. Oh, you have a book for Jean? Okay, then I think that's it. Everybody has it. What is it? Yeah, we need 2 pens. I don't know, maybe get 3 or 4. So yeah, if you could just write your name on the cover, so if you lose your book, people know who to return it to. That's the first step. Now we've met many times. Yeah. Did you hear about this class happening today? Oh. Okay. Would you like to attend the class? Not ready. Okay. All right. All right. So you'll just stay for some time and then you'll leave today? Okay. All right. Yeah, tonight we have the Sunday festival, 5:30. So, okay. Yeah, 5:30 we have the festival, so. Okay. Now, Tyler, we could start with you. You could take this piece of paper and you could write your name, your first and your last name, as you would want it on your certificate, and nice and clear, so I could read it. And then you could write your email too. So with every, these will all be recorded, and there's a few devotees who aren't here in person, so we're recording it, and we're just going to send the links to them, and then they could listen to it throughout the week, and then they could stay with us like that. So if any of you here in person have to be gone some Sunday for this reason or that reason, of course it's best if you're here, but if you have to be gone for some reason, then we'll be sending these recordings out to everybody through email once a week. So, yeah. So that's why so if everybody could just please write their names clearly and their email address for that purpose. Hey, Jane. Hare Krishna. All right. So we'll start with page 6. So if everybody could please. Well, first of all, we'll just go around the room, and so everybody kind of knows their name. Everybody knows everybody's name. So, hello, my name is Balarama Dasa. So, what's Jacob? Okay. Serbia. Okay. All right. Nice.
Hare Krishna. My name is Tyler. My brother's name is Jacob. And Krishna's brother's name is Balaram. Hare Krishna. My name is Misha. Hare Krishna. My name is Gene.
My name is Dean.
Claudine. Okay. So that's everybody's names. All right. So yeah, we'll start with page 6. So if everybody could please turn to page 6. So yeah, this is classroom norms, principles and values, course broad aims, course assessment. During the course, so this is norms for classroom behavior. So I think all of you are pretty Christian conscious and well behaved in that regard. But anyways, there's some. During the course, in order to maintain an appropriate learning environment, students will agree to follow the norms for classroom behavior. So that should be on page 86. So if everybody could please turn to 86. Now, it might be on 89 though. So you could, I think it's 89 in my book. 89, okay. So. Yeah. All right, so 89. So these are the norms for classroom behavior. During the course, in order to maintain an appropriate learning environment, students will agree to follow the following guidelines. We will be present for the entire course. We will raise hands to contribute. We will value student contributions whether or not we agree with them. We will refrain from side conversations. We will refrain from making and receiving mobile phone calls during class. We will observe confidentiality within and without the classroom. We will refrain from borrowing strength from status or position. We will respect the right of the individual to withdraw without stating reasons from any exercise which makes them feel unduly uncomfortable. We will each accept full responsibility for success in achieving our desired outcomes. We will confront issues or behavior, not people. We will each honor any agreement reached. So, Jean and Claudine, would you like to move to the table? Maybe that's easy for you. So you have something to write on. Okay. Okay, course broad aims. To improve the quality of discipleship within ISKCON in order to promote the long-term well-being of Srila Prabhupada's society and its members. All right, maybe Dimitri, you want to read the rest of that? You could read in the... Oh, this is page 6. Sorry, we're going back to page 6. Tyler, do you think you could open that kitchen window, please? Yeah, if you could read into the mic, Dimitri. So this is page 6.
We will achieve this by enabling students to understand the long-standing principles of discipleship as presented in the teachings of Srila Prabhupada and the broader Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, and appreciate the unique context in which these teachings are applied with ISKCON. Apply these principles for form spiritually healthy, constructive relationship with their gurus and senior Vaishnavas. Act appropriately within those relationships. Develop the values and attitudes required of a disciple. Cooperatively serve the Supreme and his various representatives in order to perpetuate Srila Prabhupada's teachings and mission through both personal example and instruction.
All right, thank you. So, yeah, so we want to understand the principles of being a disciple as presented by Srila Prabhupada within the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, right? And appreciate the unique context in which these teachings are applied. And we want to have conservative, healthy, constructive relationships with gurus and senior Vaishnavas, act appropriately within those relationships, develop the values and attitudes required of a disciple. So these, so pretty much we want to understand what it means to be a disciple within ISKCON, within the broader, Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, as presented by Srila Prabhupada. And we want to serve Krishna and his representatives in order to perpetuate Srila Prabhupada's teachings and mission through both our through both personal example and instruction. So we want to have a clear conception of Krishna consciousness, which this, of course, this is a small book and there's a lot to cover, but this is a general guideline or outline to help us understand different ideas. All right, is that everybody? Serby, Michelle, Jacob, Rena, Eugene, Claudine, Jean, Dimitri, Tyler. Duhart? Okay. All right, so this will also be like, there'll be some writing exercises within this course. So the first writing exercise is here on page 7. So we'll take a few moments to fill that box in. But the question is, in what ways could I improve as a disciple? So you could say, in what ways could we improve as a follower of Srila Prabhupada or as a follower of this tradition? What ways could we improve? So if everybody could just write something, try to... So would anyone like to share? Yes. Yeah, you could speak through the microphone.
I wrote to read the books every day, chant more than the minimum, and to just be thinking of Krishna always, because then everything else falls into place.
All right, nice. Would anybody else like to? Okay.
I'll say all that.
Okay.
Be more mindful of devotee values when interacting with other people, especially those who might not disagree.
All right, nice. Anybody else would like to contribute? Yes. All right, nice.
It's a good question because it says how can we improve. So we have these verbs. We have chant, serve, act. So I was thinking, what can I do better? Like a verb. What can you do better? So we've been distributing books. So try to do that better. Serving the devotees better. Following the guru better. So
Yeah.
Improving is encouraging you to do something better. So whatever
Yeah.
action we're doing in Krishna consciousness, how can you do that better?
Yeah.
And I like the chanting. I like what they were saying. These are important things that we should be trying to do better every day.
Yeah. What about Jacob? You had something? Because your hand went up too, but
one of the things I could say is chanting more attentively, improving that. And then something else I could say is being more regulated in the lifestyle. Trying to wake up at a time where you can chant your rounds, during the Brahma Muhurta, and just one of the things I could do.
okay, thank you. So yeah, so those good points. Thank you all. In relation to some of those points, Srila Prabhupada said that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the biography of Lord Chaitanya, he said that there's a section where this one great devotee, Haridas Thakur, he was passing away, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there, and Prabhupada states in a purport there that of all the instructions of the spiritual master, the instruction to chant at least 16 rounds is most important. Chant at least 16 rounds a day is most important. So of course, in the journey of chanting Hare Krishna, usually people start off 2 rounds a day, and then they go 4, 6 rounds, and they build their way up 8 rounds a day, and 10, and then eventually hit 16. And then every day they're chanting 16. So that's an important aspect to try to and to fulfill, is to get to the point of chanting 16 rounds. And then, of course, at least 16 rounds. Then, of course, there's the principle of maintaining it for, days and months and years. But it is maintainable. There's many devotees who've been chanting at least 16 rounds every day. Sorry to use myself as an example, but I've been chanting every day for 15 years, 16 rounds, at least 16 rounds. So, but yeah, it's important to do that. And as Michelle was mentioning, it doesn't have to just be 16. It could be more. There's indications that Srila Prabhupada liked the devotees to chant 25 rounds on Ekadashi. There's a conversation he had with some disciples, and there's some indication like that, Prabhupada like that. So some gurus, they or it's, yeah. Like, for example, when I got initiated in 2009 here in the San Diego Temple by His Holiness Giriraj Swami, one devotee went up to receive his name and his beads before me. His name was Bhakta Alan. And then my guru asked Alan, so how many rounds will you chant every day? And then this Bhakta Alan said, I'll chant at least 16 rounds every day. And then my guru said, and on Ekadashi, how many will you chant? And then Alan said, more. And then my guru said, well, it's good if you could try to chant 25, which I never heard before. Before that day, I never heard that. And I don't think Alan heard that either. So Alan said, so my guru said, it's good if you could chant 25 rounds on Ekadashi. And then Alan said, okay, try to, or whatever he said. So then I was like the next one to go up, and I was thinking, all right, well, it's good to chant 25 rounds on Ekadashi. So anyways, I went up, and then he asked me how many rounds we'd chant every day. I said, I'll chant at least 16 rounds. And then he said, on Ekadashi, how many will you chant? And I said, I'll chant 25. And he kind of, smiled. Okay. So, yeah, I vowed to do that. And since then, I've done that. Now, of course, under weird circumstances, maybe traveling, maybe sick, maybe really, 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 really busy or something like that, devotees may not finish their rounds on a particular day. But Srila Prabhupada just said the next day to make them up. Okay, you didn't chant 8, then make them up. Now, of course, that you have to be careful. We have to be careful, because that becomes a habit. So, I'll make it up. Oh, I'm losing track now, So you have to be careful about that, because at one point it's like it turns into like, well, I'm not really chanting 16 rounds every day, making up. So it could be a little challenging, but for the most, I never got into that habit of missing them and then making them up. But there was some circumstances in which I had to make them up, but I did. And it wasn't like, over a week period or something. It was like a day, like here and there over the years. So my spiritual master was really sick one time. He had triple bypass surgery, maybe double bypass. Anyway, some type of heart surgery, really intense. And he just couldn't chant. I mean, he was like, laying there in the bed, just hardly move. And so what he did is he calculated how many days he was laid up in bed, and it was like a month or whatever it was, some long time. So he calculated all his days, and then he just made up all those rounds, 16 rounds. So, nice, good example. So yeah, to read, that's very important. Devotee mentioned to read. Of course, nowadays, in modern life, it's just we're just so busy, family and work, and it's difficult sometimes, just squeeze certain things in, But it's possible to read every day, and I mean, they have a saying: drops of water wear away stone. So every night, practically, I read from my Kindle. I anyways, I think it's a nice creation. The has, lights up and everything. So anyways, I read from my Kindle, and just reading through that a little bit every night, some 10, 15, 20, however long. I've gone through books, just reading it a little bit every day. So, like, we have this devotee in the congregation. Of course, they're retired now, but principles there. Drops of water wear away stone. There's the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's 18-volume set. It's kind of intimidating sometimes. Oh, how am I going to read that? 40 pages a day reading that you'll complete it in a year. But anyways, these devotees, they're reading every day in a group for 1 hour. And yeah, they're going through it. They're on the 10th canto now. So there's 12 cantos making their way. So yeah, reading, chanting, coming closer to Krishna by learning, which is important because we have to learn. We have to learn if we're practicing or participating in a particular tradition. It's good to know, what that tradition is. And of course, this course here will give us, push us in that direction of knowing more about some details of the tradition. And then Jean mentioned being aware of or while interacting with people to maintain certain Vaishnava, you could say, behavior or values. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah. Which is an interesting thing to point out because in the Bhagavatam, I think it's the 6th canto, there's a quote there, and it says that for a devotee, this is how it's generally quoted, for a devotee, all the good qualities of the demigods manifest, right? And it says for a materialistic person, materialist, says they don't have any good qualities. Then people wonder, it's like, oh, well, sometimes these materialists, they look like they have good qualities. Sometimes they look like the qualities are even better than the devotees. People may think that. In relation to that, there's a few points. One point is that for the materialist not having any good quality, what does that mean? It means that because they are operating on the mental platform or the material platform, they may manifest some good qualities, but due to a particular circumstance, they may not manifest those qualities. In other words, you put a dog on a throne, right? Oh, wow, look at that dog. It's really good. He's got a nice crown, and I put a garland on him or something. You put a dog on a throne, and then you throw, then he's there, he's looking like a king or something. Then you throw a bone, and he jumps off, goes for the bone. So the test is that in difficult situations, okay, is that person, is the person really humble in very difficult situations? Are they very tolerant in difficult situations? And a lot of time these people, they're not able to maintain. But you could say that maybe you could say it's like a reflection of the good quality. So it seems, impressive. But so that's one point. But another point in relation to that is that devotees may manifest bad qualities. They may manifest inappropriate behavior sometimes. So we shouldn't be surprised. So in other words, within the materialistic society and within the spiritual society, say within ISKCON, devotees may manifest bad qualities just as a materialist may manifest bad qualities, whatever anger or selfishness or so many things, whatever bad qualities you could think of. But the difference is, of course, in the case of sincere practitioners of bhakti yoga, is that the difference is that they're trying to make spiritual advancement. They're trying to please Krishna. And due to some bad conditioning due to some bad habits, they're not able to keep the proper behavior. But a thing to note about this quote of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that a devotee manifests all good qualities, there's a very important word that I left out of this verse, and that is a pure devotee manifests all good qualities. And a pure devotee is one who has there's three types of pure devotees. Means pure servant of Krishna. One is Nitya Siddha, like Srila Prabhupada, descending from the spiritual world, never forgot Krishna, coming here to preach Krishna consciousness. Nitya Siddha. Nitya is eternal. Siddha, perfect, eternally perfect. Then there's the sadhana siddha, which means that the devotee has become perfect. How? By sadhana, by spiritual practice, by chanting. They became pure devotees by practicing bhakti yoga. That's sadhana siddha. And then there's the kripa siddha. Kripa means mercy, siddha, perfect. So the devotee becomes perfect by mercy, by special mercy of Krishna or his representative. So if one is not in these categories of being a pure devotee, in other words, generally people aren't nitya siddhas. It's very rare. Coming from the spiritual world, never forgot Krishna. It's very rare. Generally, it's kripa siddha, by mercy, special mercy, or by sadhana, by spiritual practice. So in other words, one has to really surrender to the, chanting, japa, one's japa, surrender to Krishna, to their spiritual master in so many ways. Surrender to the process of bhakti yoga, and then their heart will become purified. Then they'll become pure devotees, or good devotees, or advanced devotees. And then they'll manifest these good qualities. But if a devotee manifests bad qualities, that is due to previous conditioning. But still, those people are considered to be sadhus, saintly persons, if they don't give up and they're really sincere, if they're actually serious and sincere. Like the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada would say, he would quote a verse from the Bhagavad Gita explaining who is a holy person, who is a sadhu. He would say, Api chet surarachayo bhajate mam ananyabhak. So it says that, Krishna says that even if one is seen to engage in the most abominable activity, if they are fixed in their determination to be a devotee, they are considered to be saintly. Now, of course, Prabhupada says in the purport that we shouldn't take this out of context, and Prabhupada says, I think even says the words, do any nonsense and say, oh, I'm a devotee. But then Prabhupada says at the end of the purport, even if he does nonsense, he's not bad condition, he said, it means he's not a very high devotee. So then in the next verse, Krishna says that although they're engaged in this abominable activity at times due to bad conditioning, quickly they become righteous and attain everlasting peace. Declare it boldly, Krishna says to Arjuna, my devotee never perishes. So, but yeah, as you're saying, Gene, it is important to develop Vaishnava qualities. I read something last night by this somebody. I spoke at a Catholic classroom one time, and the teacher, he gave me a book, and it was quotes from St. Augustine. He has good quotes, but we can learn from other traditions too. But it was message to the youth, and one of the messages was, if someone does something you don't like, don't get mad at them. And then he said, and even if you do get mad, try not to show it. So there's a principle of also just controlling. We may have not transcended, but we could control. And actually, in relation to the spiritual master, which we'll be discussing throughout this course, the guru principle, One of the qualifications of the guru is vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jiva vegam, to control, right? It says one who can control the urges of the tongue and the belly and the all the forces of the senses and the mind and anger and everything. One who can control that, Goswami, says they're qualified to make disciples all over the world. So they control it by engaging in Krishna service. So I know that was a little bit of a long. Does anybody have any comments and questions on anything we've discussed so far? Tyler? Yes. Yeah, Brahma Muhurta. You're putting him on the spot there, Tyler. Yeah, Brahma Muhurta, hour and a half before sunrise. That's the time. That says it's the best time for chanting and spiritual practices. How essential is that? How essential? It is. It's the day is governed by different modes of material nature. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita there's 3 modes of material nature: sattva, rajas, and tamas. Goodness, passion, and ignorance. So sattva gun is conducive for spiritual advancement, and in the morning time it is governed by the mode of goodness. It's just peaceful, not everybody's rushing around, and the day's activities hasn't started, right? We don't, there's no pressure for us to answer some calls or whatever. As soon as the day starts, a text message, this and that, whatever. Working and running around here and there. So if the best is, to meditate in the morning, to chant Hare Krishna in the morning, and depending on whatever time someone's waking up in the morning, someone may say, "Oh, it's difficult for me," and I understand that it could be difficult. It's a common feeling. But devotees could wake up 30 minutes earlier than they usually do. 30 minutes. You could chant a few rounds in that 30 minutes. Or if you really want to, if we really want to stretch, not try to do an hour or something. And then gradually kind of work our way to a time which we feel is the best and which is recommended. At the temple, we're all waking up at 4. We have some enthusiasts who wake up at 3:30 or 3. I've always been a late riser. I wake up at 4, but I never got into 3:30 or 3 or 2:30. But I mean, that's good. If you always want to do that. But yeah, early is good. But then that requires also going to sleep a little earlier, which I was in Salem, South India, at a temple, ISKCON temple, and there's no electricity in the temple. So there's no lights. There's the sun goes down and there's no lights. There's just so the devotees they take rest early there. It's like, hey, well, sun went down and just go to sleep. The brahmacharis. We're in the brahmachari ashram. Of course, brahmacharis had phones there too, but yeah, everyone was laying down early, waking up early. So, but yeah, waking up early practically means preparing the following night, and also that can mean like what do you call reconditioning our biological clock. Like people, they feel alive at night. Hey, the night. I'm a night owl or whatever. Night owl is a condition that it's common in the world nowadays. They even have a saying. I talked to somebody at the lounge. It was this devotee's sister. She was in high school. She brought her sister. And the girl in high school, she was saying, yeah, there's this thing. It's like called, I forgot what it's called. It's like late night going to sleep because of procrastination mentality or something, which meant practically that people think, well, the whole day passed and I still got a lot of stuff to do. I didn't get so much stuff done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay up and try to get more stuff done. Anyways. So, but there's different reasons why people stay up, and a lot of it, again, is that just kind of conditioning ourselves, to become alive, and of course, electricity helps with all that. But again, if we could try to go to sleep a little earlier, wake up a little earlier, and then this would kind of, recondition ourselves, then it is more beneficial actually to chant. All of our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, he got up really early. All of them, they got up early and they chanted and they wrote so many books, and so yeah, it's a conducive time. So all right, so we'll just read the core principles and values. I'll read that. Srila Prabhupada, okay, course principles and values. 1, Srila Prabhupada's as preeminent Shiksha Guru. Srila Prabhupada as preeminent Shiksha Guru. Allegiance to ISKCON and Parampara, the disciplic succession. Parampara's disciplic succession, the succession of gurus and disciples, going back hundreds and thousands of years. So we want to be allegiant. We want to have allegiance towards them, dedication towards them. Respect for multiple authorities and senior Vaishnavas. So not like one of my friends, he says, oh, well, I have my guru and everybody else is like chopped cabbage. He uses that term, chopped cabbage. So we may have our guru, but we should respect all Vaishnavas, senior devotees. Considerate selection of guru. So yeah, we want to be very, think about it, for a long time, who we want as our guru. It's an important decision. Because actually there's no kind of, oh, I changed my mind or something, I changed my mind, choosing. I mean, people do that, but it's not good. We'll get into it later, but there is scope of rejecting one's guru if the guru proves to be not a guru anymore. Means he was in good standing, following, but then he developed some philosophical misconceptions or stopped following the principles or things like that. Stop chanting. And someone may say, oh, well, I thought he was a guru, and how is that? He's a representative of Krishna, and how can a guru ever do that? Well, there's a case in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where Lord Chaitanya, who's Krishna himself, was traveling, and then there was this one devotee with him, Krishnadas. And it said that Krishnadas got distracted, and he went and got captured by these kind of hippie, gypsy, sense enjoyer type of people. And he just fell in Maya. He fell in illusion completely. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said he came and he had to drag him by his hair out of that bad association. So this person was with Krishna, and he still fell in illusion. So Prabhupada makes a point in that purport that I'm just remembering right now, that one has to be very determined to stay out of illusion. And he said if one is not determined, then even Krishna won't save him or can't save him. Be very determined. Or as the saying goes, right? God helps those who help themselves. It's a similar thing. So there's a scope for that, but that's rare. That's hopefully that doesn't happen. That's a rare circumstance. So we have to be careful who we pick as our guru. I actually had dreams before in which I was dreaming at night, and I was initiated. It means I accepted a guru. I accepted some other guru, not His Holiness Giriraj Swami, who is my guru. And then in the dream, I was thinking, why aren't I initiated by Giraj Swami? Why am I initiated by this person? It was like a, but then I woke up and I realized, okay, I'm initiated by him, so it's good. So we should feel, like a special connection. Faith in Guru's instructions, commitment to vows and Srila Prabhupada's mission, exemplary sadhana, conduct and balanced lifestyle, inquiry, humility and service, favorable association, inclusivity and cooperation. 10. Cultivation and propagation of holy name. So, all right. Now this is like a course course assessment, kind of like what we'll be going through, and also discusses the test. So there will be things within this course that devotees have to memorize. A lot of tests. I mean, all of you have been in school. A lot of tests just means memorizing it and just writing it down. And okay, well, choose A, B, C, or D. He says, okay, A. And then that's the answer. And we memorize it, and that's the answer. But if we forget, which one is it? Is it A, C? So a lot of it's just memorization. And of course, farther than just memorization is actually like processing it and understanding it and having the transformation. But there is a test here at the end, and there will be required some memorization of certain things. So if you could just keep that in mind. Certain terms also, like Sanskrit terms, like for example, Diksha Guru. So we should be able to remember what does Diksha mean, Diksha Guru, and what is Shiksha Guru, and what is Vartma Pradarshaka Guru. We should remember those terms. Which Diksha Guru is the initiating Guru, which is one. That's also probably a question. How many Diksha Gurus can you have? The answer is one. And then Shiksha Gurus, instructing Gurus. You could have many. But also you have to be careful with that too. They have a saying, too many cooks spoil the soup. You get too many ideas. Shiksha Gurus could be many. And then Vartma Pradarshaka Guru is someone who shows you the path. They say, go to the temple, or hey, take a book, or So anyways, there's different terms. And it will be a short answer test, which means it's multiple choice, A, B, C, and D. There will be some written things there too, but it's short answer, And it's like, I don't know, 7-page test or something like that. So that will be at the end. And then if somebody has some difficulties with the test, it means they don't pass it. Everybody passes. What I've done, and it's just been a few cases, few devotees, but somehow or other with the test, I think one of them got really nervous, and the other one, it's kind of difficult, like the certain terms, remembering things. And so what I did is after they did the test, I just sat down with them and spoke with them and tried to make sure they understood. And they did understand it. They just, with the test, it kind of. But I'm sure it'll be fine with all of you. So yeah, this is open book assessment. The following questions or a selection of them will be allocated by your course facilitator. Your responses should be no more than approximately 250 words. Some questions may require shorter answers. Questions marked with, how do you say it? Asterisk are mandatory. A minimum grade of 65% is required for an overall pass. You will receive a report of your assessment from your facilitator. Closed book assessment. So that's what we'll be doing. It'll be a closed book assessment. Short answer. Alternatively, your facilitator may administer a closed book multiple choice style test. That's what we'll do. The questions will be based upon the open book questions listed below. A minimum grade of 70% is required for an overall pass. Successful graduates will receive an ISKCON Disciple Course Certificate authorized by the GBC Guru Services Committee. Introduction, Theory, and Context. So this is Lesson 2, Guru Tattva and Parampara. the truth, tattva truth, guru, the truth of the guru, and parampara session. So the test will be based largely on all these questions here. One, to explain the similarities and difference between the two main categories of guru. Give at least 4 arguments to refute Ritvik Vad, philosophy. Give appropriate reference to Shastra, scripture, in your reply. Would somebody else like to read? How about Jacob? Maybe you could read the next 4.
Guru Padashraya in ISKCON. 3. Explain Guru Padashraya in ISKCON. 4. Explain how Srila Prabhupada functions as the preeminent Shiksha Guru and founder Acharya of ISKCON. 5. Why is it important that Srila Prabhupada remains the preeminent Shiksha Guru of ISKCON for future generations? 6. Briefly describe, with reference to current ISKCON law, appropriate methods of worship for Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON current and future gurus. ISKCON gurus. 7. Describe the appropriate attitude for an ISKCON guru in regard to the teachings of Srila Prabhupada and the authority within ISKCON. 8. Why should one accept Diksha and Shiksha gurus only within ISKCON and not from outside ISKCON? 9. Describe the appropriate attitude for an ISKCON disciple toward gurus and other Gaudiya, Vaishnava, Parampara, and organizations. Selection of guru and initiation vows. Explain the importance of initiation vows with reference to comments from Srila Prabhupada. 11. List some qualifications of guru that you consider important, with reference to Shastra and the mandatory qualifications of Diksha Guru in ISKCON. Appendix 3. 12. Discuss appropriate and inappropriate methods and reasons for selecting guru. Give appropriate reference to Shastra and current ISKCON law in your reply. Guru Seva. 13. Discuss with examples the relationship between Guru Seva and service to the mission of ISKCON. Explain the importance of a balanced approach to these two. 14. What is Guru Vapu and Guru Vani Seva? Which is more important and why? Give at least 4 examples of appropriate and inappropriate subjects on which to seek advice from Guru. Give appropriate reference to Shastra in your reply. 16. Discuss how a disciple should behave toward one's gurus, godbrothers, godsisters. Give appropriate reference to Shastra in your reply.
You like to read?
Cooperatively fulfilling the relationship. Presenting one's guru. Describe what you consider to be the appropriate attitude and behavior for an ISKCON disciple in regard to promoting one's guru in public and within the society of Vaishnavas. Give reference to relevant Shastra and current ISKCON laws in your response. Why is it important for ISKCON disciples to develop an appropriate attitude in this regard? Why is it important to publicly promote Srila Prabhupada as a founder Acharya and preeminent Shiksha Guru in ISKCON for the present and the future? Relationships within ISKCON. Discuss inappropriate attitudes and behavior for an ISKCON disciple in regard to favoritism or bias on the basis of one's Diksha Guru. Why is it important for ISKCON disciples to develop an appropriate attitude in this regard? Describe practical ways of developing and maintaining cooperative relationships with all ISKCON Vaishnavas without inappropriate discrimination on the basis of Guru.
All right, thank you. So, yeah, a lot of this will be asked in the test. So, if you want to, you could refer back to it. All right, is there any questions or comments about what we've discussed so far in lesson 1? All right, so lesson 2. Here we go. Guru Tattva and Parampara. So Tattva is truth, Guru teacher, Parampara the disciplic succession, disciple Guru disciple. Lesson topics: Guru Tattva, types of gurus, Guru Parampara system, refuting the posthumous Ritvik theory. All right, Guru Tattva. All right, so this is another writing exercise for everybody. Briefly explain in your own words the position of Guru. If everybody could please write. It might be in the van. What about Claudine? You would like to share?
Sure. Okay, so a couple things I put was set a good example.
Yes.
They act as an instructor, and they can provide spiritual guidance and lead us on the path.
Yes. What about Surabhi? You like to?
Without you, we are like students without teacher. And Guru is the one who leads us to our ultimate goal of coming closer to Krishna.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, the Guru is Acharya means to teach by example. So the Guru has to teach by example, and should give us instruction and guidance, and show us the way. And the Guru he connects us with Krishna through initiation. The Diksha Guru connects us to Krishna through initiation, and it says that for a sincere soul, that Krishna he allows or arranges that a sincere soul will meet a guru. And then, by the mercy of that guru, or by the by being connected to that guru, then that person is Krishna. So there's like the idea of, there's also like Chaitya Guru, which means the guru in the heart. That's Krishna. So the Chaitya Guru, the guru in the heart, is Krishna. It says that he, the super soul, manifests externally as the spiritual master, to guide the soul. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that Krishna, or that the spiritual master is Krishna, God, but it means that he's respected on the same level because he's a representative. And but it's not that the spiritual master is like, Krishna's not alone, and the spiritual master is not alone. It means Krishna is with the devotees, and the devotees are with Krishna. They're not alone. So it's not that we serve our guru. Our guru, like for example, all of us here, if we are going to take initiation at some point in time by a guru, then we should see that guru not independent of Prabhupada. It means he's with Srila Prabhupada. He's connecting us to Srila Prabhupada. And similarly with Krishna, it's not that we're just serving Krishna, but we're serving Guru and Krishna together, because they're together. They can't be separated. But even more so, even also the Vaishnavas, the devotees. You have Krishna, you have Guru, and you have the devotees. They're also all together. So we have to serve them all. Just like one devotee said that if you serve Krishna, the Guru will be happy, right? You're serving Krishna. And then if you serve, if you serve Krishna, the Guru will be happy. And then if you serve the Guru, Krishna will be happy. Oh, he's taking care of my devotee. She's taking care of my devotee. She's serving my devotee, right? And the spiritual master is saying, oh, he's serving Krishna. She's serving Krishna. So then if you serve the devotees, right, all the devotees, then both Krishna and the Guru will be happy. Krishna will think, oh, look at, they're serving my devotees. And then the Guru says, oh, look at, they're serving the devotees. So, but we should serve them all. But yeah, the spiritual master does connect us to Krishna, and he sets a perfect example. Yeah, these are the different aspects of a guru, and pretty much the spiritual master, they learn the teachings of Krishna, and then they practice it, and then they teach it. Or as Dravida Prabhu says, he says they learn it, and then they live it, right? And they give it, distribute. So learn it, live it, give it. So the spiritual master, that's what they're doing. So, all right, I'll just read this next section here. The spiritual master is non-different from Krishna. Guru Krishna Rupa Hana Shastra Praman Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Karane Bhaktikana. According to the deliberate opinion of all revealed scriptures, the spiritual master is non-different from Krishna. Lord Krishna, in the form of the spiritual master, delivers his devotees. The relationship of a disciple with his spiritual master is as good as his relationship with the Supreme Lord. Acharya mam vijaniyan nave manyate karichit ma namartya buddhya suyeta sarvadeva maya guru. One should know the Acharya as myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of the demigods. Maybe we could close this one and then open that one. So I won't read the references, but the references are down there, the different quotes from the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada's letters. If one considers the spiritual master an ordinary human being, one is doomed. It is recommended that one honor the spiritual master as being on an equal status with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sakshat Daritvena Samasta Shastra. This is enjoined in every scripture. Acharya Mam Vijaniyat. one should consider the Acharya to be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In spite of all these instructions, if one considers a spiritual master an ordinary human being, one is doomed. When he does his business perfectly, he is perfect. A postman may deliver us $100, but we do not consider that the postman is giving us $100. The money is sent by a friend, and it is simply the postman's business to hand it over as it is, without taking anything or adding anything to it. His perfection is that he delivers the $100 as it is sent by one's friend. He doesn't change. He doesn't, reduce. He doesn't steal from the $100. He doesn't add. That is his perfection. The postman may be imperfect in so many ways, but he does his business perfectly. He is perfect. But when he does his business perfectly, he is perfect. Persons who are less qualified or not liberated can still act as guru. So it means that a person who is not absolutely perfect means in their Krishna consciousness. They're not fully Krishna conscious. They're not liberated, you could say. But if they're following the principles strictly, the four regulative principles, chanting at least 16 rounds, and they're learning, they've learned the scripture, and they're living it, and they're distributing it, because they're doing that, they're qualified to be gurus. Yeah. The statements of Thakur Bhaktivinoda are as good as scriptures because he is a liberated person. Generally, the spiritual master comes from the group of such eternal associates of the Lord. But anyone who follows the principles of such ever liberated persons is as good as one in the above-mentioned group. A person who is liberated Acharya and Guru cannot commit any mistake. But there are persons who are less qualified or not liberated, but still can act as Guru and Acharya by strictly following the disciplic succession. If you follow pure devotee, then you are also pure devotee. So, if you follow pure devotee, then you are also pure devotee. It may not be one is 100% pure, because we are trying to raise oneself from the conditional life. But if we strictly follow the pure devotee, then we are also pure devotee. So far, we do that is pure. So pure devotee does not mean one has to become immediately 100% pure. But if he sticks to the principle that will follow a pure devotee, then his actions are he is as good as a pure devotee. Yeah. All right, types of guru. All right, so Diksha Guru, 1, gives instructions, initiates and officiates connection to Parampara, gives spiritual name, gives mantra, accepts disciples' vows, removes disciples' sinful reactions at initiation. Shiksha Guru, many, gives instruction, connects to Parampara, informal. No limit to the number of instructing spiritual masters. I offer my respectful obeisance at the lotus feet of my initiating spiritual master and all my instructing spiritual masters. Purport: a devotee must have only one initiating spiritual master, because in the scriptures, acceptance of more than one is always forbidden. There is no limit, however, to the number of instructing spiritual masters one may accept. Generally, a spiritual master who constantly instructs a disciple in spiritual science becomes his initiating spiritual master later on. So yeah, once we accept initiation, we have to be careful that we don't, think, oh, this was a mistake. I'm going to go, First of all, within ISKCON, if we got initiated and we think, oh, it's a mistake, I shouldn't have got initiated from that guru, no other guru is going to initiate us, because it's like you have already accepted initiation from somebody, so I can't initiate you now because you've already accepted initiation. That's considered like an offense in Vaishnav etiquette, because, like, for example, if Tyler comes to me, for advice, and I spend an hour with him advising him. And then he doesn't follow anything I say, and he goes to somebody else, and as if talking to me was a complete waste of time. And that person knows that Tyler has spent an hour with me, and I've tried to help him in so many ways. And although he knows that, and he knows how much energy and time I'm spending with Tyler trying to help him, he kind of he confirms Tyler's opinion about me, that I'm useless. By this person, this devotee confirms it by saying, "Oh yeah, Balarama might have spoke with you, but I got a lot to tell you. Here you go. Here it is. Here's the real thing." You know, Balarama doesn't really know what he's talking about. He may say it directly or indirectly. So in other words, if I was to initiate Tyler, if I was to initiate Tyler, right? Tyler, you're my disciple. If I was to initiate him. Now, if Tyler he realizes what a fool I am, says, "I don't want to get initiated with this guy. I made a mistake." Then he goes to somebody else. Now, of course, in the case of ISKCON, that would have to be outside of ISKCON. There are organizations outside of ISKCON who are Vaishnavas. So Tyler would go outside of ISKCON and speak with some guru there and say, "Oh yeah, I was initiated by this guy Balarama Dasa in ISKCON, but I kind of made a mistake. I want to get reinitiated. Can you initiate me?" So if that guru was to initiate Tyler at that point, although let's say I am in good standing, as a authentic spiritual master, I'm in good standing, right? If he was to initiate you, that's a offense within Vaishnava etiquette, because he's confirming your illusory conceptions that I'm completely bogus, Because in other words, he's saying, yeah, sure, Balarama initiated you, but you could take initiation from me. But why? If I'm authentic, then why you take initiation from him, and why does he initiate you? That means that you don't think I'm authentic. That also means he doesn't think I'm authentic. But what if I am? What if I'm chanting my rounds? What if I am surrendered to Krishna? So it's an offense on your part and on his part. So therefore, within ISKCON, once you get initiated by a guru, within ISKCON, they're not going to reinitiate you, unless the guru, fell from grace. In that case, they may reinitiate. But in many cases, the only way that happens if you go outside, and they may initiate you. But it's not good to do that. So, yes. Second initiation is performed by the spiritual master. Same spiritual master. Means first and second is the same. Now, of course, in the case I may get first, and then let's say my guru, leaves the world, departs. In that case, I could take second initiation from another guru within ISKCON. He'll give me second. So that's there. But I've known, disciples of particular gurus in ISKCON, and later on they just lost faith in their guru. Many people have faith. Like I'm thinking about a particular disciple and a particular guru, and I won't tell you who they are, but I don't think it's necessary for this conversation. But this disciple was very, Gurudev, and bowing down, and really worshiping him as a spiritual master, as he should. Person connecting to Krishna. But then later on, he felt, oh, this person, I don't know, and maybe I shouldn't have taken initiation from him, and I don't agree with the way he preaches, and there's some philosophical misconceptions, I think, on and on and on and on and on. So he pretty much rejected him. So therefore, a careful consideration has to be made before. Actually, it says that the guru, he studies the disciple for a year, and it says that the disciple also studies the guru for a year. Make sure that this is, can I really follow this person? Is this person worth following? Can I follow him? So yeah, we have to be careful because it's actually very unpleasant and very, we don't want to do that. Like we get initiated, and later we're like, oh well, I think I should have accepted from him. I don't know about this person. It's actually really unfortunate. It happens sometimes. So yeah, Diksha Guru, there's one, and then Shiksha Gurus, there are many. The initiating and instructing spiritual masters are equal. The Guru who first initiates one with the Maha Mantra is to be known as the initiator, and the saints who give instructions for progressive advancement in Krishna consciousness are called instructing spiritual masters. The initiating and instructing spiritual masters are equal and identical manifestations of Krishna. This is a question on your test. This is a question on your test. What are the Shiksha and Diksha Gurus equal? Yes. They're equal manifestations of Krishna. It means they should be respected on the equal platform. Of course, it says that sometimes with Shiksha Guru, it's kind of more informal, like a friendship more. With the Guru, with the Diksha Guru, it's more formal, a lot more kind of awe and reverence a little bit there. And we'll discuss that more later. Although they have different dealings. But I consider the numerous instructing spiritual masters to be very important, for they show unlimitedly more mercy by training the neophyte devotees in all the essential aspects of practical devotional service. So in other words, the Shiksha Gurus, just like here at the temple, we have some, new devotees coming, right? There's new devotees who come to the temple, and then there's older devotees who you could say, in many cases, act like Shiksha Gurus for the newer devotees. Train them philosophically or practically in Vaishnava etiquette and behavior and this and that, and they spend days and hours and months, and they have some issues that need to be discussed or whatever. Spending time in general, right? So the Shiksha Gurus, they're you'd say, like kind of cultivating the devotees. And usually the Diksha Gurus aren't so much involved in those initial stages sometimes, or even present for that in the same town. A lot of them are traveling all over the world, like as sannyasis. So then, when the newer devotees are ready for initiation, then the Diksha Guru will come, to initiate those devotees with the what do you call the recommendation of the Shiksha Gurus. We do have Bhajanarayan Swami. He's an initiating guru. That's a new thing within the last year. He'll be initiating 2 devotees on August 1st. So you all could attend that. That'd be nice, fun, here at the temple. Bhakta Ed, which probably you don't know, and Bhakta Glenn. He's one of the brahmacharis here. So it'd be a nice ceremony. So we have one Diksha spiritual master in town. So, all right. So Diksha, Chipayati, explain, destroy, right? Divyagan, spiritual knowledge. So they're destroying ignorance. Diksha means to destroy ignorance, right? And to award spiritual knowledge. So when one gets initiated by a spiritual master, that's what it means. Except Diksha means destroying ignorance and enlightening one. That very word, Diksha, Iksha, Darshan, to see. That's another explanation. To see gives us vision, spiritual knowledge, Divyagan. That very word initiation suggests this is the beginning. Diksha, di, divya. There are 2 words, Divyagan. Divyagan means transcendental spiritual knowledge. So divya is di, and jnanam, chipayati, explaining. That is cha, diksha. This is called Diksha. Diksha, the combination. So Diksha means the initiation to begin transcendental activities. That is called initiation. Therefore, we take promise from the disciple, that you chant so many times, sir. You observe these rules and regulations. Yes, sir. That is initiation. He has to observe. He has to chant. Then everything comes automatically. The Sanskrit term is called Diksha. Diksha means Divyagyanam, transcendental knowledge. Cha, Iksha. Iksha means darshan, to see, or Chipayati, explain. That is called Diksha. Unless one is initiated, all his devotional activities are useless. Unless one is initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, all his devotional activities are useless. A person who is not properly initiated can descend again into the animal species. Now, of course, when people may hear this, they're like, oh, well, all my spiritual activities are useless. Well, one thing is that it's sometimes the Vedic literature, the Bhagavad Gita, and the spiritual masters and different literatures and so on, it's very absolute language. Like for example, it says, oh, once you go to the spiritual world, you can never fall down, right? Never come back. Now, you can, but it's said in an absolute way that you never can. But you can, but it's not likely you will. So when it says useless, all the devotional activities are useless, it means that it's an emphasis on the importance of initiation, that the activities become that much more alive. They become that much more beneficial once one is initiated. So there is value in chanting Hare Krishna if one's not initiated. There is value in worshiping Krishna and doing things if one's not initiated. But when one gets initiated, it's a spiritual boost, and it's that much more beneficial a lot. And in terms of descending into the animal species, that means the soul, going into the animal form. Of course, there's Bharat Maharaj in the Bhagavatam who also became an animal. He became a deer, right? But this is also a point there that's being brought up. Means it's not a stable situation, not to do what we can to make advancement in Krishna consciousness is not the best formula for future success. So in other words, we should try to do whatever we can to make advancement in Krishna consciousness to assure our future success. Or else it's an unstable situation, which could become very problematic. Now, of course, in so many ways, Srila Prabhupada would say, oh, well, if you take to Krishna consciousness, on other cases, he said, automatically you have a human form in your next life, right? Better birth, go back to the spiritual world. He gave the example that there was a man, the power of Ekadashi. He was fasting on Ekadashi. And, the power of prasadam. He took prasadam, ate prasadam, food offered to Krishna. And then it says that the man was eaten by a lion, right? So it said that both of those, the lion and the man, were liberated, because of the power of prasadam. So elevated. Okay, the connection with the spiritual master is called initiation. From the date of initiation by the spiritual master, the connection between Krishna and a person cultivating Krishna consciousness is established. Without initiation by a bona fide spiritual master, the actual connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed. So this is from the Nectar of Devotion. So yeah, it's again emphasized, it's really important. Okay, so the supreme silence was thus received through disciplic succession. This is the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so this is another written exercise. Why do we have to accept living Diksha gurus? Why do we have to accept? So if everybody could write. So what's the value of accepting a living Diksha guru?
I wrote that the disciple can learn, observe, and take instruction directly from the living spiritual master. But I think even more importantly, you have a living being who's elevated that you can serve through the service of that elevated being who become elevated himself. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. One time Prabhupada said that one of the reasons you have a living guru is he could pull your ear if you're getting out of line. But yeah, to serve the spiritual master, there's two types of servant: Vani, serving the instructions, and Vapu, the form. So by serving the spiritual master, one pleases Krishna, and it also trains the disciple in humility, which is a very important aspect for spiritual life. Humility doesn't mean low self-esteem and thinking oneself, like Prabhupada would say, oh, you could feel yourself worthless, but don't act that way, oh, I'm worthless, I'm not going to do anything. Well, you can feel yourself worthless, but you're active, intelligently active for Krishna. Yeah. So the association is very powerful, with the Diksha Guru. And this is also hinting at this, what we'll be discussing in a minute here, this Ritvik Vad, which Vad means like a philosophy, and Ritvik means, it means there's this whole principle that developed within ISKCON after Srila Prabhupada left, that these devotees came together and they said, well, Srila Prabhupada, there's two types of Ritviks. One is like very, could say hard Ritviks. They think that Srila Prabhupada was the last guru, like in this age, and that everybody who gets initiated from now, they have to get initiated directly from Srila Prabhupada. Means living gurus, no need, just Prabhupada. And then the soft Ritvik are people who say, well, Prabhupada is, as far as we could say, the last, but there may be a self-effulgent acharya that comes, and then we'll get initiated by him. But everybody else, no. So the Ritviks say that all devotees in ISKCON, gurus, are unqualified. They're not qualified. They can't act as gurus. But this is a fallacy. This is wrong because Srila Prabhupada never. Can you give me the? Srila Prabhupada never said that, and practically all of Prabhupada's teachings on his conversations and so on were saying that he wanted his disciples to act as gurus, be gurus. He even pointed out about initiation. He said, yeah, generally the spiritual master, you wait till the spiritual master leaves to initiate disciples. But he mentioned it to his disciples. And it's been like that in disciplic succession forever. The students, they learn, they become qualified, and they act as gurus, and they initiate devotees, and that's just what's been happening. But this Ritvik idea, it's completely new, and it's never happened in the Sampradaya ever, like not once, where, oh yeah, well, now I'm going to get initiated from a guru who already left this world, who's deceased. I'm going to get initiated, and I'm his disciple. Like it never happened ever, But this philosophy came. It's actually big. It's in India. They have many, many temples. They look exactly like ISKCON. You'd think it's an ISKCON temple. And they dress the same, they read from the same books, but just a slight philosophical deviation, which is, you could be Prabhupada's direct disciple, Means I'm a grand disciple of Prabhupada myself, Balarama Dasa, but I'm not a direct disciple, a grand disciple. Prabhupada's my Shiksha Guru, not my Diksha Guru. So there's a big movement in India. It's also here in America. They're coming to America. They have temples here in America, one in San Jose. I asked if they have any Prabhupada disciples up there. And then I realized, well, they're all Prabhupada disciples. Because they're all direct disciples. But we understand they're not, because why stop at Prabhupada? Well, hey, what about Rupa Goswami? What about the different acharyas? Well, I'm a disciple of Sandipani Muni. That was Krishna's guru. And when he's a Gurukul boy, Where do we stop? So it's a new thing actually. So that's what Living Gurus is talking about here, kind of hinting at. All right, so we'll just read this. The parampara system. The Guru does not accept respect from his disciple for his personal self, but conveys his respect to Krishna. It is stated in Gita that knowledge of Krishna is received through the parampara. The Guru offers the same respects to his Guru, and his Guru offers respects to his, and so it goes all the way to Krishna. Thus, the mercy of Krishna comes through the parampara system, and the respect offered to Krishna is offered up through the parampara system. One has to learn to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this way. The message of Bhagavatam is coming down by disciplic succession. In order to receive the real message of Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, one should approach the current link or spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession. One cannot jump over to the superior guru. So if you want to understand Bhagavad Gita, then we must understand in the same way as the person directly heard from. This is called parampara system. Suppose I've heard something from my spiritual master, so I speak to you the same thing. So this is parampara system. You cannot imagine what my spiritual master said, or even if you read some books, you cannot understand unless you understand it from me. This is called parampara system. You cannot jump over to the superior guru, neglecting the next acharya, immediately next acharya. So Prabhupada's saying, just from here, you can't neglect. You can't just jump over the guru. I'm going to read Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's books. Okay, good. But, what about Prabhupada's books? Or if you say, I'm not going to listen to any living guru here. I'm just going to go to Prabhupada. But that is neglect of Prabhupada himself, because these are Prabhupada's dear disciples. And it also is an offense. You'd say a backhanded compliment, right? Or an Indian culture, a left-handed compliment. To Krishna, to Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada, he's extremely powerful, pure devotee. And what? He can't create any other pure devotees? Of course he can, because he's so powerful. Okay, so one should not proudly think that one can understand the transcendental loving service of the Lord simply by reading books. One must accept a Vaishnava guru. And then by questions and answers, one should gradually learn what pure devotional service to Krishna is. That is called parampara system. These students who are initiated from me, all of them will act as I am doing. This is Prabhupada's statement here. Just like I have got many godbrothers, they are all acting. Similarly, all these disciples which I am making, initiating, they are being trained to become future spiritual masters. I want to see my disciples become bona fide spiritual masters and spread Krishna consciousness very widely. That will make me and Krishna very happy. Keep trained up very rigidly, and then you are a bona fide guru. You can accept disciples on the same principle. But as a matter of etiquette, it is the custom that during the lifetime of your spiritual master, you bring the prospective disciples to him. In his absence or disappearance, you can't accept disciples. And you can accept disciples without any limitation. So there it is. What did the Ritvik say about that? This is the law of disciplic succession. Anyone following the order of Lord Chaitanya and the guidance of his bona fide representative can become a spiritual master. And I wish that in my absence, all my disciples become the bona fide spiritual masters to spread Krishna consciousness throughout the whole world. This is called parampara system. You have to learn how to become servant of the servant of Krishna. The more you become the lower position, servant, 100 times servant, then more you are advanced. So the last section, in these particular lessons, there's additional quotes. So if devotees want to read those on their free time, homework or whatever, you could read them on their free time if you like. We won't read them in the class. But the last section of this lesson 2 is this discussing this Ritvik theory, which will be, you'll have to remember 4 arguments against Ritvik theory for the test. I think you have to write it out too, so you'll want to remember that. So these are the different reasons why Ritvik theory just doesn't make sense. That Tyler, or Dimitri, they could become direct disciples of Prabhupada, and they don't need a living guru. Like within India, there's a huge temple, and there's this devotee there, and he initiates people like this. He performs a whole sacrifice, a fire yagya, and everything, and then he initiates people as if they're direct disciples of Prabhupada. It's a Ritvik temple in India. But it's interesting because in Indian culture, right, it's like hardwired within them that I have a guru and he's living and he's, I could talk with him and he's my guru. So it's interesting because people, they sometimes ask this devotee down there who's doing these initiations, Ritvik initiations. They ask people ask the followers of this person, oh, who's your guru? And you would think that, at least from the Ritvik theory's perspective, they would say, oh, Prabhupada, I'm a direct disciple of Prabhupada, hey. But they don't say that. They say, oh, his name's Madhu Pandit. They say, oh, Madhu Pandit, he's my guru, which is interesting because even though Madhu Pandit is initiating these people as disciples of Prabhupada, in Indian culture, in their minds, which is good, in their minds are thinking, oh yeah, Madhu Pandit, he's my guru. So, but I'm not sure how we.
That's our first refutation.
Yeah. So, is it the posthumous Ritvik theory is a fallacious theory by which a spiritual master allegedly acts as Diksha Guru after his departure through the agency of Ritviks or officiating priests? There's no. Okay, so these are the reasons why we don't accept this, which are logical, which make sense. I mean, they have their reasons too, but if you ask me, these reasons make complete sense, not because, we're some like dogmatic followers or something. It just makes sense, and it's according to scripture too. So one, there is no example of one taking Diksha from one's Param Guru in any of the bona fide Vaishnava Sampradayas. So there's 4 Sampradayas, disciplic successions, bona fide authentic. In all of those Sampradayas, there's no example of people doing this, initiation where now they're a disciple of, Madhvacharya who, was a guru or something. There's no example of that. That's one. And same within Gaudiya Vaishnavism, there's no example. 2, there are no shastric evidence indicating that one may take Diksha from one's Param Guru. It's not mentioned in scripture anywhere. Like 0 places, that, okay, if there just happens to be no bona fide authentic guru, then someone could act as your priest, and then they could initiate you to the, bona fide guru who has now deceased. It doesn't say that in scripture anywhere. So then for devotees just to kind of like come up with it, it's like, all right, well, it says it literally nowhere in scripture. And Rupa Goswami is no fool, to say the least. Rupa Goswami is the topmost pure devotee, super close to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, understanding the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You think he would put that in the Nectar of Devotion, but he didn't. And any other books. Virabhadra Goswami, the son of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, in a letter to Srinivasacharya, ostracized one Jai Gopal from Vaishnava society for claiming himself as a disciple of his Param Guru. So he just claimed he was a disciple, but he actually wasn't, of the previous guru. So it says that he ostracized this Jai Gopal, which Virabhadra Goswami, that's the son of Nityananda, so we accept authority. The argument that there are no qualified Diksha gurus amongst Prabhupada's disciples indicates that Prabhupada's teachings have not proven effective. In other words, Prabhupada, devotees have not managed to purify themselves after so many years. The teachings have been proven ineffective because nobody's qualified according to this theory, but we don't accept that. So what would be the use of becoming Prabhupada's Diksha disciple through the Ritvik priest anyway? If the process doesn't work, then what's the use? Everybody's still remaining a rascal, unpurified person. Then Ritvik theory implies that that only exceptionally empowered acharyas, teachers, can become guru, which is not supported in Shastra nor Vaishnava tradition. So in other words, somebody who is not fully liberated, who is not fully pure, they could act as guru. And Prabhupada said that many times, like some of the quotes we read earlier. And even Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his guru, he was more advanced than his guru, just historically speaking. He was a Nitya Siddha, a pure devotee of Krishna, and his guru was actually less advanced. But still he accepted the guru, So even he accepted somebody who wasn't. Ritvik theory implies that acharyas can act contrary to Shastra. Means it's not mentioned anywhere in scripture, so the theory of Ritvik is implying that, we just kind of like, came up with this idea. Now, of course, the Ritvik theory, the Ritvik followers, they do have some letters from Srila Prabhupada or some conversations with Srila Prabhupada, which is hinting at that, Ritvik. But Prabhupada, Prabhupada, it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam that the spiritual master is given unlimited intelligence to direct the disciples. Prabhupada mentions that in the purport. So Srila Prabhupada was so intelligent, and he was leaving the world. He knew he was leaving, and he was trying to square things away. He was setting up trust. Prabhupada was an old, from a materials perspective, he's an old businessman. He's super sharp, managing the whole society. So he was setting up trust, and also spiritually, he was, trying to, take care of things before he left. And he appointed these 11 gurus, which is a whole, history in itself. But you would think that if Srila Prabhupada wanted to set up this whole Ritvik system where, okay, now you act as a Ritvik priest, which means they're actually my disciple, but they're initiated by you, and this is how we're going to do it from time on, even though it hasn't been mentioned in Scripture. I'm just going to do this now, You think Prabhupada would discuss that threadbare, but he didn't. It's like a little hint of it, and then from that they expanded, and so, which a lot of those 11 gurus, it's a historical, all the haters of Hare Krishna movement, they know about these 11 gurus and the history of every single one of them, and how they, there's a bunch of stuff on the internet, which some of it's true and some of it's not, exaggerated, but it is true that a lot of them, they did have difficulties. But, to err is human. They were acting as gurus, and as soon as they, messed up, as soon as they broke the law, then they're not gurus anymore. And they were, most of them left on their own accord, or they were asked to leave, and they were, replaced with other gurus who acted as gurus. And, try to find a religion in the world that hasn't, had people in there who's done something foolish, But that doesn't mean the religion is foolish. It doesn't mean God is foolish. It doesn't mean the idea is foolish. It just means the execution of it was wrong. So the Ritvik theory, it's a lot of it stemming from this too, that, just see, first of all, Prabhupada appointed them. That's one thing. It's like when you talk about Adam and Eve, right? In Christian theology, Adam and Eve, the snake, the serpent enticed Eve, right? No. Is it? Eve. Yeah. Eat the apple, right? Eat the apple, eat the apple. And then she said, and then she enticed Adam, eat the apple, eat the apple. And then God didn't want him to do that. It's a tree of life. They understand, what's good, what's evil, this and that. And, God cast them out of the Garden of Eden. But then you may ask, where'd that serpent come from? It came from God. He put it there, right? Everything comes from God. So then you say, well, why did God put that serpent there? You could say, was it Eve's fault? Was it Adam's fault? Was it Eve's fault? Was it the serpent's fault? Was it God's fault? What's the whole system going on here? So similarly, people criticize, there was these 11 gurus and they all had difficulties. And, who appointed those gurus? Prabhupada did. There's conversations about it. So Prabhupada was working with what he had, with who he had, and he said, I'm leaving, and, you take charge, and what could he do, Like when Prabhupada was in Australia, he initiated these Brahmins to take care of the deities, and that was very serious for Prabhupada, taking care of Radha and Krishna. So Prabhupada, he prayed, he said, I'm praying to you, Krishna, these people aren't qualified, these people aren't trained. You as Chaitya Guru in the heart, you please inspire them. And he just left Australia. What could he do? So it's a similar principle there. So there was problems, and a lot of the Ritvic theory stem from this. Oh, just see, now we just want initiation from Prabhupada, But again, it's nowhere in Shastra. Ritvic theory functions by undermining the natural development of faith in living Vaishnavas, which is an essential aspect of bhakti. So it's important we have faith in devotees, not always like second guessing them. Oh, are they really qualified? Kind of. Always second guessing devotees is not very respectful. Like imagine if you have a wife or something, or a husband, always second guessing. It's like, what it's it could get really weird actually. I was talking with sorry to bring it up because it's a little uncomfortable, but it's a world of abuse, unfortunately, largely, not everywhere. But I was talking with someone, and it was a couple, and this lady, she was telling me how when they were married, her husband would leave the house and say, "Okay, you stay in the room. I'm leaving. You stay in the room because if you don't stay in the room, I know what you're going to do. You're going to go to local bars, and I don't trust you." In essence, it's kind of like Atmavan Manyate Jagat principle. He knew what he would be doing at the bars, so he thought she would be doing similar things, cheating or fooling around. But talk about second guessing in a relationship. So with Vaishnavas, okay, we may do that on a smaller level. We're second guessing. Oh, does this person really care about me? Is this person really sincere? Is this person really serious? Okay, we may do that a little bit in the beginning, but ultimately we should have some faith in Vaishnavas. At least they have the right idea, or their heart's in the right place. So, which Ritvic theory completely, no one's qualified. So how can we have faith in them? As guiders. A Ritvic guru gives advice, however, he does not formally accept the responsibility of delivering the disciple as a bona fide Diksha guru does. So the Diksha guru takes responsibility for the disciple, and the Ritvic priest doesn't. He just, okay, you're initiated by Prabhupada, and see you later. There may be some type of exchange of advice and this and that, but he doesn't take full responsibility for the disciple. Where the Diksha Guru does. It's like a contract, and they signed up, and whenever the disciple has some problem or this and that, the guru's there to help. So, all right. So those are some points. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the parampara, the cyclic succession, Prabhupada's ideas of people becoming gurus, or the Ritvic theory, or anything like? Yes, Claudine.
Okay, so if choosing the Diksha group, the initiating group, is a very important decision.
Yes.
And yet and there are a lot of the instructional gurus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the word, sorry. But,
no, that's okay. Shiksha.
The Shiksha group.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in a lot of ways, you've been a Shiksha group. You explained a lot of things, patient, right? So I've learned a lot from you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I interact, just as this example, so I interact with you a lot. I know you well. If I wanted to do initiation, I would feel comfortable because I know you.
Yeah.
But we don't see the Diksha gurus come through often. So
yeah.
how would you get to know one well enough to know if
you want to have faith
that that what they're doing, you follow them for a very long time?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Well, one thing is, one very important aspect of choosing a guru, or who do you want as a guru, is that they should inspire you a lot, like the most. So if you analyze first of all, you see the options, right? Of course, see the options sounds kind of what are the options, but you see all the bona fide authentic gurus who are there. And generally, I think it's good that where everyone's based, like let's say you live in San Diego, I think it makes sense, at least from my perspective, that, that devotees accept initiation from gurus who at least visit here sometimes. They come through town, because then you could see them, and you may invite them over to your house for lunch, or you could whatever have you could serve them, cook for them, or you could go on a japa walk with them, or you could drive them around to the different programs in San Diego, or you could do different things like that, have a conversation with them. But if the person like never comes here, it's like, oh, I'm initiated by this guru, and he goes on the East Coast once a year. I mean, you could go out there too, and you can do that. I mean, I know devotees who've done that. Like one devotee got initiated by somebody who just never comes here. He had to like fly out to Japan to get initiated or something. But it's true, spiritual initiation is not based on time or place. But personally, I think it's helpful. But yeah, the person should really inspire us. And inspiration, we could hear their talks. We hear their talks about Krishna, inspired, or their kirtans. And then when we see them, we see them here. We see how they interact with devotees. We see how they interact with us. We see how they carry themselves. We see how they speak. We see how they lead kirtan. Generally, just observing them, and you may observe as someone like I'll just give you my example because you're asking me. But when I first saw my spiritual master, I didn't realize he was my guru. I saw him a few times, actually. It's a long story. I won't get into the whole thing. But my mother, she asked for initiation before me from him. And then still, I didn't have it in my mind, I'm going to ask for the initiation from this person. But then, I would see him in Laguna Beach, Los Angeles, San Diego. And then he would ask me, oh, how's your mother doing? I said, oh, yeah, she's doing fine. I was a brahmachari. She's doing fine. So then one day, this devotee here at the brahmachari here at the temple, he gave me a picture of Giriraj Swami. So then I put it on my shelf. And then devotees were asking me, "Oh, you're going to get initiated from me?" I said, "No, the devotee gave me a picture, and I still have that picture." But the devotee gave me a picture, and he's a great devotee. So and they said, oh, "Okay." So then this devotee told me, "Oh, you should email him. He likes to hear from book distributors." I was distributing books more at that time. And then so I said, "Okay." So I emailed him, and he answered, and he said, "Oh, we could set up." He said, "I'd like to talk with you on the phone, And then he said, "But I'm going to India for like 2 or 3 months. So, but before I go, we'll try to connect." So then, of course, I gave him a phone number. I wasn't there or something. I was 18 years old or something. So then we didn't connect, and then he went to India. And then when he got back, he emailed me and he said, "Oh, I got back from India. There's a lot I need to do." And he said, "I still think about you, at times." And he said, "I'd like to, talk sometime with you." So then it came. There was a Joshua Tree retreat, sounded like a japa retreat, So he said we could go there. I could meet him there, and there's many devotees. And he said it would be good for our spiritual life. So I went there with the blessings of the temple, devotees, and all that. So I went there, and I didn't really speak with him the whole retreat, And I didn't really serve. I was like washing the pots that they were cooking with for him. And one time for lunch, I brought in a little, after his lunch, I brought in a little cup of fennel seeds and I put them there, fennel seeds after prasadam. He just kind of looked at me and laughed, but smiled and laughed. And then, so I didn't speak with him the whole time, but I was observing him, how he was talking with the devotees and how he was leading kirtan, how he was speaking, and I was very impressed. And I was very inspired, and I was thinking, oh, I've never seen such a, spiritually beautiful devotee. I was thinking that. And then at the end of the retreat, I wanted to speak with him. So there's a few devotees around. He was speaking, and then I was waiting for him, and then he came up to me and he he put his hand on my shoulder, and I was a little emotional, so I was like crying a little bit, and he said, what's wrong, Dr. Bronson? What's wrong, Bronson? Did the retreat? I said, I'd just like to speak with you. So then he chanted his noon Gayatri mantras, and then we spoke. And at that time, I said, I asked him for initiation. I was inspired. I wasn't planning on it. Like throughout the retreat, I just asked him for initiation. And I said, no offense to my father, but we have a good relationship. But I said, yeah, I have a father, but he didn't teach me much spiritually. So the spiritual master said to be like the spiritual father. So I said, yeah, spiritual father, And he said, okay, and he accepted me as a aspiring disciple. And then when we were leaving, he was like, get in the car, and I was like, so can I email you, or to stay in contact, or how do we stay in contact? That's what I was trying to say. And then he he looked at me and he smiled and he said, oh, and he said, yeah, you could email me. He said, whatever you like, my son. He smiled, and so I thought that was nice. And then we rushed back to San Diego. I was with Javita Prabhu and my mother, and we rushed back. We made it in time for the Sunday feast, Kirtan. But it's kind of like they have a saying. Well, I don't know if they have a saying. I was just thinking of a saying, but I couldn't think of one. But when it comes a matter of connecting with someone, or a matter of developing affection for someone, you could say it's an affair of the heart. It's not like intellectually, like, okay, can this person be my guru? Like, you may do that in the beginning, some theoretical, okay, but then it's just an affair of the heart. Yes, this person. And also, he's been around so many years, and many devotees are impressed by him, and many devotees like him, and inspired by him, and you just have faith. So yeah. But Krishna, or we'll be guided, we'll be inspired. But yeah, it is true. We may not be able to get, like, I didn't. From that point, I hardly spoke with him. Like, up until that point, I asked for initiation. I hardly spoke with him. And even after that, it's not like we would speak all the time. Sometimes through email, sometimes in person. Over the years, I think I spoke more to him, in person sometimes. I think I just developed more kind of maybe things I need to talk about or something, or more comfortable, But so, but yeah, I would just say listen, listen to different gurus, and then when they come by, try to get their association, try to serve them, and then naturally things will, move in a direction. Yeah. Yeah. But we'll also discuss that later also. I didn't want to just say that, oh, we're going to discuss this later. So I answered the question, but I could have just said, yeah, we're going to discuss this later. So now we're going to go on to the next part. So, but I said it at the end. So, but I did give an answer, but we are going to discuss more later. So we'll get kind of more ideas. Also discusses why not to pick a guru. So, oh, well, they say that you shouldn't pick a guru based on material disqualifications, or specifically, you shouldn't you shouldn't have prejudice towards a guru. Oh, he's American, I won't accept him. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we're spirit soul. We're not American or Indian, anything like that. But if a person's qualified, they're qualified. But sometimes it's there that, oh, well, I want American, or I want an Indian, or this or that, or I want somebody who who really knows how to keep a good tune, singing. Guru may not know how to keep a good tune, or he has a really good smile, The guru may be missing a tooth in the front, what is he missing tooth, Later on, Prabhupada actually was missing a tooth. later on in the 70s. But Prabhupada actually looks quite regal, despite his front tooth. Anyways, it's Prabhupada. Yes, Jane, you had a.
To approach a initiated guru, is it appropriate to directly approach initiated guru to ask
For initiation?
Yeah. Or is it more appropriate to have someone vouch?
Okay. Both are appropriate, both. And it doesn't seem that there's indications that one is more appropriate than other. I think it really depends on the candidate, the disciple, what is their mood. Sometimes it is very humble actually to, have someone approach for you. It's nice actually. But, sometimes devotees approach directly too. Like I approach directly, and that, there's many devotees like Glenn in the ashram here. He approached Bhajanarayan Swami directly. I mean, he could have asked me or whatever, somebody else to approach Bhajanarayan Swami, but he approached directly. And so it's okay to approach directly. I mean, sometimes I asked, like, there's a time where I wanted to spend some time with my spiritual master, and I asked Dravida Prabhu if he could email him and kind of present this idea that I want to spend time with him. And then, my guru responded to Dravida Prabhu and said, yes, I'd be happy to spend time with him, or whatever he said. But, I do personally approach, my spiritual master with, it's not like he's like my pen pal or something, but, if there's some kind of spiritual business, or if I need to like meet up with him or something, so I approach, further along in the relationship. There can be some personal. Of course, it's a whole different thing, because some gurus, for example, they're not. You got so many disciples, and it's like, you're expecting, you send an email to your guru, and there's like, 10,000 disciples. That's like, just imagine you have 10,000 disciples. There is a possibility that you may get 10,000 I don't even know if it's possible through email. I guess it is, but there is a possibility to get 10,000 emails, within, let's say, to make it more believable, 10,000 emails within a 2-month period. That's a lot of emails, and a lot of them are intricate. Like, hey, I'm thinking about moving here because the temple president here is kind of, I don't really like him, but my wife, she doesn't really agree with me, but we do have a kid together. I don't, what do you think, Guru Dev? And it's kind of like, could be kind of really. So that's why Srila Prabhupada, he instituted, there's temple president, there's Shiksha gurus, there's the GBC, like Bhajanarayan Swami is the GBC. There's different people who could help, kind of navigate situations. So they're all working together to help, devote. We're helping each other, So you can approach directly, but even in the case that somebody has a lot of disciples of Guru, like Radhanath Swami, for example, he has a lot of disciples. Maharaj is very personal. Devotees could personally approach and speak with them and ask for initiation. I'm sure he has plenty of devotees doing that, and I'm sure he has plenty of devotees of asking through, the temple president. But one thing about asking through the temple president or through the GBC is that the guru knows, okay, this person's like sincere, this person's serious. It's not, the guru has no questions like, oh, well, because the GBC, he says, I think this person's ready, and can you accept him as an aspiring disciple? So, but a lot of the times the guru, might say, he might just say, yeah, I accept you as an aspiring disciple, which means, doesn't necessarily mean that he'll initiate the devotee, but there's a whole development of a relationship. So a lot of the times they do accept, they say, okay, I'll accept you as an aspiring disciple. And the kind of principle is like, okay, let's see how this goes. Let's see how this manifests. Let's see if within 6 months, you've completely lost faith in me, or you gave up Krishna consciousness and joined some Gnostic group or something. Let's see how this goes. So it's a little drawn out answer, but both. You could even, I don't know if you could do both at the same time. I don't know how that works exactly, but yeah. I mean, you could, like, the GBC asks for you, oh, can you accept this person? And then the guru says yes. And then when you see the guru and say, oh, will you accept me as aspiring disciple, or but I don't know if that really makes sense to do that. Doesn't seem like it makes much sense. It's like either like one or the other. But some devotees like to ask personally because it's, in many ways, I agree with that principle, because it's, it's really, it's like humbling, and it's there's some emotion to it, and it's a nice time. It's a beautiful time, exchange. So that's why I kind of like this idea of asking personally myself, because it's a time to have an exchange with your spiritual master, which is like a once in a lifetime exchange, very beautiful. I'll tell you this to kind of end with, was that my godbrother, one of them, I won't tell you who his name is, but a younger devotee, and he wanted to take initiation from my guru. So then we went out to visit my guru in Texas, and then my guru goes there regularly. So we were spending some time with him and serving him, and then this devotee, he said he's going to ask my guru for initiation. So then, he had a list of things he wanted to discuss. So his life and this and that, and one of the things was initiation. So he had kind of, many things, and one of them was initiation, and then my guru was like, okay, and he didn't accept him at the time. He didn't say, oh, okay, I accept you. He just said, okay, well, well, actually, what happened was that he asked, and then this conversation kept on going. And then my guru said, well, I'm supposed to go to Dallas, and I have to have lunch before I go. So maybe we could continue this conversation. He didn't answer his question. So then they had lunch together. They had lunch. My guru was having lunch, and this devotee was standing there, and he was telling him about his life some more. My guru still didn't answer the question whether he accepts him as an aspiring disciple or not. So then they were having the conversation, and then my guru, like, immediately he got into the car, and he was like driving off to Dallas. He was driving off to Dallas, and then he left, and then he said, okay, we'll be in contact, and he just took off to Dallas, and he didn't answer this devotee's question, So this devotee's, his heart was like, sunk, and did he accept me? Did he not accept me? Does he like, And some months passed, and I actually saw it within him. He was kind of like a little crestfallen for quite some time. And then my guru visited here, and then they spoke, and then he said, okay, I accept you as aspiring disciple. And I saw this devotee kind of come back more to life, And but analyzing this, I thought the way in which this devotee asked for initiation, was, I mean, no offense to him, or what, he's very sincere, and but I mean, there just seemed to be like a bit of too much of a casual kind of request, for initiation. That's what I felt, anyways. And because of that, I think my guru, he didn't answer the question because of that. He saw that he was sincere. He saw that he was serious, And then later I spoke to this devotee about that, and I said, I think that your request might have been a little bit too casual, And he said, oh, what do you want me to do? Was I supposed to, like, get on my hands and knees and start crying or something? And yeah, might have been a good idea. But I thought it was good, because it kind of like humbled him. Actually, it kind of cut down some of that, because when people are qualified, sometimes, we're qualified in different ways. So okay, well, or people, we may think we're qualified in different ways, and some people think we're qualified in certain ways. But when approaching the spiritual master, be very, very humble. All the qualifications that we have materially, we're intelligent, this degree, that degree, blah, 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 this and that. It's all just like, doesn't mean anything, spiritually. And we should just, please accept me as your disciple. And so I thought it was good. He was being a little humbled. And because he is a qualified person, actually, in many ways, materially, spiritually. So yeah, we never know how the guru will respond. But my spiritual master, he's kind of he does he wants to make sure the disciples get the right idea, that he's, which is good actually, like he's very humble and very friendly and everything, but when it comes down to it, like he's the guru, and he makes it clear that he's the guru, and not out of pride, but out of the betterment for the disciple, that they understand this is the nature of the relationship. So like Prabhupada, he made it clear, he was the guru, and if someone needed to be like corrected or something or helped, then he would do that. So it's a similar principle. But anyways, yes. Yes, go for it. We're done. All right, so yeah, we went a little over time. Usually we won't do that. It's the beginning though. So yes, thank you all very much for attending, and this will probably be 4 weeks, maybe 5, depending on how fast we go. But we did 2 lessons today, so it's pretty good. And yeah, so if you like, you could take prasadam here on the patio right now, or you could take it to go right now, or there's a class right now happening in the temple. You could stay for that. It'll be over by like in 45 minutes or so. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.